the way that mass equality is positioned in the movement right now, working in a post-marriage equality world, what does it look like to obtain full social and legal equality for LGBT people? It's not just all the great thinkers that are here, but the tremendous amount of straight allies that have associated themselves with this work. You know, LGBT people are just such a small percentage of the population. We couldn't advance our rights without the help of our straight allies. Their help is tremendously important. And I think there's a real opportunity here, like I said, in working in a post-marriage equality world, to think about how do we bring different movement leaders together from different movements to build our power together, to broaden our thinking about how we advance LGBT equality. What I bring to this organization that I think is the most important is my experience, and the way I would sum it up is my experience as a movement architect. My work has entirely consisted in the last 12 years that I've been involved in this movement in building statewide LGBT advocacy campaigns and working on those campaigns not just to advance those issues that are of the moment, but really trying to build the power of the movement and our relationships with other movements in a way that will advance us not just on that particular issue, but will advance us going forward for years to come. And so we have an opportunity to really be thoughtful and strategic and intentional about the coalition that we build to advance LGBT issues forward, to not only achieve a world where we have all of the legal equality that LGBT people should have, which we don't even have in Massachusetts yet, but also making sure that we have full social equality. You don't always get to pick the issue, and even if you do pick the issue, you have to create urgency around it, but you seize those opportunities when people are willing to talk about the issue. You seize the opportunity to teach people about LGBT lives. Clerking for a judge is an amazing experience for a young attorney. The opportunity I had under Justice Joette Katz to learn the critical thing that I have learned in my professional life, which is how to cut to the heart of a matter. When you get asked a difficult question, how do you get right to the heart of the matter? That is something she can do in 30 seconds or less. And I learned a tremendous amount working under her and just learning how to do that. It was the state Supreme Court. There were a number of cases of first impression that would come before the court, questions that had never been answered in the state before. And our job was to wrestle through those questions. And there were questions that came up around parenting rights, third-party visitation, where we did have to think about the way we answer the question in this case is going to affect millions of people in this state that are outside the boundaries of this decision, and some of those people are LGBT people, and we did have those conversations. Right now in Massachusetts, it is legal for a transgender person to be fired from the place that they work, to be denied housing, to be denied access to basic services like domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters. They can be denied credit in an effort to buy a home or a car, very basic things that we all take for granted. We have a U.S. Senator who does not support the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He comes down on the side of he'd rather take LGBT people who are right now putting their lives on the line to protect our national security. He'd rather kick them out of the military than actually do what would keep our nation safe. There are tremendous disparities between LGBT people and heterosexual people on a number of different health axes, from risk behaviors that LGBT people engage in related to higher levels of stress and tension in their daily lives than straight people experience, to transgender people and bisexual people who are less likely to have a consistent doctor. My vision for mass equality is simple. We are going to advance full legal and social equality for LGBT people from cradle to grave, in schools, in marriage and family life, at work, and in retirement. But also creates a space where people who may not feel so comfortable being out right now will feel comfortable because they will feel that sense of community. We are going to continue to elect and re-elect a pro-LGBT majority in the State House to make sure that our friends are there. We're going to create a sophisticated public policy platform that we can advance in the State House and that we can advance in cities and localities all across the state to make sure that piece by piece, system by system, institution by institution, we have the equality that we're seeking. I feel like I understand the way Sam Adams and John Adams must have felt when they were so convinced that they were right and that there was a better way to do things than the way things were being done, and they fought for it. And I feel lucky that mass equality is actually on the Freedom Trail. I think that's entirely appropriate that our offices are there. I met my partner 2 years ago. I met her through my last place that I worked. And she moved to Massachusetts to be with me, because that's how I roll. We live in Somerville together in a condo that feels very much like a tree house. It's got windows everywhere, with our 2 cats who currently are our children. But if she would ever get around to proposing to me, then maybe we'd have our own children. My dad taught me that if you can dream it, it's possible. And my goal at MassEquality and my goal in my personal life is to dare to dream and to dare to create a world where people can be whoever they want to be. I want to create a world where my niece and nephew and my future children grow up with more possibility and less fear than I did. That's the world I'm hoping to create for all of us, and we can start with Massachusetts.